is flat and that there's ice walls around the edges of the earth holding the water from falling out into space. Oh my God. But we'll get into that more right after this.
You're listening to a man who's so sexy it's completely ridiculous. Mr. Anthony Scott Yummy.
All right, we're back. Anyway, I was talking about people who believe in things that are nonsensical because they're not 100% sane. It doesn't mean they're stupid. Not all the time. Sometimes people who believe in things that are nonsensical, they believe it because they're stupid. But some of the people are not stupid, who believe in something that's not true. They believe in something that's not true because they're not 100% sane. And I know that some of you are saying, what do you mean 100% sane? Either someone is sane or they're not. Well, that's not true. And here's why. Because there's levels of sanity. And that can be proved by some people who are on medication. Without that medication, they're liable to do something harmful to themselves or to someone else. That's how you get so many people who are willing to shoot up a school or a public event, because usually people who are willing to mass murder, not serial killers, mass murderers, meaning they've decided they're going to go to a spot that's saturated with human beings and shoot up. Those people are usually people who have a history of mental illness, but they were able to buy a gun. So they bought a gun and then they planned out the whole, I'm going to go to a school or a concert or a grocery store and shoot up places. Those are not crisis actors. This whole crisis actor thing is nonsensical. These are real shootings. These are real people. These are real tragedies. Okay? These are not what some of these nut jobs, what I call them, but they're people who are taking advantage of the situation. Alex Jones is one of these people who have taken advantage of situations and suggested that people who have shot up public places are crisis actors, but they're not. These are real shootings. People have really died. No one's acting. The government doesn't want to take your guns away. I know a lot of people think, yes, they do. They do. They would have done so already if they wanted to. If the government wanted to take your guns away, they would have passed a law to do so. Listen, Democrats have guns too. A lot of people have guns. And most of the people who have guns are not hunters. There are hunters, people who actually hunt. I'm not talking about rich people who go and kill exotic animals, go and kill a giraffe and act like, "Woo, look at me, I'm some big bad asshole." I'm talking about, people who buy a gun and never use it, and they take it into the upstairs and put it up in a closet or a cabinet, and the gun sits there for years without them using it, and they buy it for protection, against people who might break in the house and try to rob them, or whatever might happen. Rich people sometimes buy guns because you'll get some nut jobs breaking into your house trying to rob you. Drug dealers get people breaking into their houses and they have guns. A lot of people have guns for a lot of reasons. So, I know you're thinking the government is trying to take your guns, but they're not, because they would have already done so. They've been saying that since I was a kid, that the government's trying to take our guns, and we went through a presidency with Bill Clinton, 8 years. He didn't take your gun. And then George Bush. And then Barack Obama, another 8 years. So George Bush was 8 years, then Barack Obama was 8 years. So that's 24 years of no guns being taken. I'm talking about, they think Democrats are going to take the guns. So George Bush wasn't going to take the guns. But you had Bill Clinton and Barack Obama separated by 8 years. So Bill Clinton didn't take the guns. So, of course, when George Bush was in office, they weren't going to take the guns. But then Barack Obama came into office, and he was in office for 8 years, and they still didn't take your guns. The government doesn't want to take your guns, people. That's you thinking that the government wants to take your guns is a reason for you to believe in things that are nonsensical. Like crisis actors. There's no crisis actors. These shootings are real. Mass shootings are real. I hate to be the one to tell you that Alex Jones doesn't know what he's talking about. He's a buffoon. He's a jackass. What he's saying isn't true. This type of thing started, and we have a rash of people who are not 100% sane, believing in things that are just not true. Okay? So, don't tell me how smart you are. I've had people on both sides of issues telling me how smart they are, and I don't care. I don't want to hear it. You know why? Because your intellect doesn't govern what you believe. It's your sanity that does. And those of you who are not 100% sane will believe in things that are not true. Because even if you're 99% sane, you get that 1% of your brain where stuff that is not true can creep in. And you believe it because you want to believe it. Because you're not sane. Your imagination runs wild. It gets the best of you. And boom. There you go. But anyway, even though this is the same topic, I digress from what I'm talking about. But I am talking about the same thing I've been talking about, and that is your level of sanity. My level of sanity, I'm burdened with with 100% sanity. I'm 100% sane. So that causes me not to believe in things that are not true and nonsensical. But there are some things that are, it's just a matter of opinion. And with this COVID, we get a lot of we have a lot of arguing going back and forth. People talking about COVID. It used to be people talking about COVID, and then they're talking about the vaccine. But it used to be people would just talk about COVID and how dangerous it is. You know, now we have the vaccine added to that conversation. People used to just talk about COVID and say, COVID kills no one. But now they've added to the conversation, COVID kills no one and the vaccine kills everyone. That's just a lie. That's a lie. If you say COVID, because you're going to say that COVID only kills 1% of the people, but you claim that was no one. COVID kills no one. It only kills 1% of the people, but the vaccine kills less than 0.1% of the people. But you said vaccine kills everyone. COVID killed no one. According to the conspiracy theorists, COVID killed no one. COVID only kills as much as the flu. Not true, actually, by statistically speaking. But let's go with that narrative. COVID only kills 1%. But the vaccine kills less than 1%. And still people say COVID killed no one, but the vaccine kills everyone. So, anyway, I just wanted to let people know, you need to know that we have a rash of cases. They're multiplying in the world. But for those of you who live in America, in the U.S., not just America, because, Canada's part of America and so is Mexico. But for those of you who live in the U.S., you're worried about what's going on in the U.S. I don't blame you, because I live in the U.S. So, I just want to make you aware that it's not the fight right now that I see is really with people who are not 100% sane and people who are 100% sane, and I don't have the numbers. I don't know, what's the percentage of people who are not 100% sane, but it's growing. I can see that. Like I said, I used to make fun of conspiracy theorists, people who think the earth is flat when it's not. I forgot to mention this. I was talking about how you can tell the earth is not flat. Listen, when the sun comes up in the morning and it's, starts to get daylight in the east, on the east coast, it's still dark on the west coast because the curvature of the earth, the sun hasn't come up around that curvature yet. And the reason we're on different time zones is because when the sun comes up in the east, it takes another 3 hours before the sun comes up in California. When the sun comes up in New York, it's another 3 hours before it comes up in California. So it's another 3 hours. That is because of the curvature of the earth. The roundness of the planet causes sun to be shining on New York and not yet shining on LA. Okay? And the fact that that's east to west. East to west. Sunlight in the east, not yet in the west because of the curvature of the earth. Okay? Another example of the earth being round, not flat, is that when the sun does come up, it's not daylight over the whole earth all at once. Not at first. Like I said, it takes 3 hours before it comes up in the west. Second point, for those of you who believe the earth is flat, which is nonsensical,